Now let's hear from Brandon Straka. He is on Twitter as @Brandon Straka with an A on the end that's silent. He has 700,000 followers, and he's the founder of the Walk Away movement. Brandon was a gay, liberal, Democrat. He began to realize around 2018 that there's a lot of lies out there and mistruths about Trump, about a lot of things. And so he kind of turned on them and became a conservative, contrarian commentator. And that's why we're glad to have him today. Welcome, Brandon.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Brandon, I want to start by reading this one quote from a bio I found on you, okay, that I think our listeners here on What's Bugging Me will just love. And you write, quote, "I reject a system which allows an ambitious, misinformed, and dogmatic mob to suppress free speech, create false narratives, and apathetically steamroll over the truth." Brandon writes, "I reject hate. These are the reasons why I became a liberal, and these are the same reasons why I am now walking away." What an inspiring thing. He wrote that in 2018, and he's been living that message ever since. But today, guys, I want Brandon to talk to us about this wedge issue affecting the LGBTQ ad nauseum movement, because there's a separation going on where some people, gay people who just live their regular lives and they just merely wanted equality and to be left alone, are beginning to say that the T and the Q of this movement has gone too far. And Brandon, just as an observer of the scene, go ahead and tell us your thinking on this. And have you noticed what I've noticed?
Oh, yeah, I've noticed it. I think a lot of people have noticed it, even a lot of people within the LGBT community. One thing I'll say for your audience, just to avoid any confusion that might occur, is you referred to me as a former gay liberal. So I'm still gay, but
my apologies for that.
No, nothing.
Good to know.
But no, I just didn't want the audience to think that I'm, like an ex-gay or something. I'm not. But no, still gay. I walked away from the Democratic Party and I walked away from the left. And as you pointed out, I did that in 2018. Hard to believe that 5 years ago, when I walked away, would now seem like much more sane and civilized and times, but here we are 5 years later, and it's a whole new level of lunacy that who could have possibly known. And, now the LGBTQIA2 plus whatever movement has become such a mainstream issue. It's not just like an issue, like a fringe issue for minorities anymore. It's, it's everywhere. It's Pride, it's Drag Queen Story Hour, it's transitioning of kids, it's indoctrination in schools. It's, this small community has kind of found a way to be an incredibly loud voice everywhere. And so now it's something that sort of affects everybody.
That's a good opener. I do have gay friends or associates, and I have had since my youngest years. And we've talked about it a little bit on What's Bugging Me. And the thing is, my friends never wanted it to be kind of to where it is now. They didn't want to have to march in parades and have to, I'm here, I'm queer, I'm gay. They didn't even have to lead with that. They just kind of wanted to be more left alone. And sometimes now it feels like the media portrayals of gay, or even some radical activist portrayal of being gay, is so much more almost of a caricature. It's not what a whole bunch of regular, real people are like, is it?
No, and it's hard to describe to people who don't really understand what's happening, especially when many of us, even who happen to be LGB or T, don't fully understand what's happening. But if you go to something like the Pride Parade, as I've done many years, and I did last year, last couple of years, to do street interviews and to talk to people who are going there and try to understand what this means to people at this point. What you find is that there's actually a lot of people who see, as this acronym expands and they add more and more and more letters, what you start to uncover is that it's really almost like a fetish for a lot of people. And many of these people aren't even gay or lesbian or bisexual or whatever. It's a lot of heterosexual people who, I mean, there was one woman I remember speaking to last year at the parade who was completely naked, except for she had something on the bottom and she had her breasts painted, or she had maybe like pasties on her nipple, you know, and whatever. And when I was interviewing her, she was telling me about how she's a middle school teacher. And I said, is this something that you would typically wear to school? And she was like, absolutely, I would wear this to school if they let me. I'm sure they wouldn't let me, but I would do it. And I thought to myself, you're nuts. Right. You are absolutely nuts. And this has nothing to do with me being gay or someone else being, you know, it's literally just almost like a fetish that people are acting out on in public and normalizing and mainstreaming. And they're attaching themselves to the gay rights movement to do it.
Well, that's where it feels like the gay rights movement has been kind of commandeered and kind of, if they're not careful, taken over by the most extreme end. And we see this across the political spectrum. I mean, the Democratic Party can getting run around by the most extreme. The Republicans can end up getting run by the most extreme elements. But now it's happening in the LGBTQ movement. By the way, do you know what some of these extra letters mean? What they refer to, the plus and the S and the S? Or do you know any of that stuff? I haven't looked it up on the net right now, but
yeah, I think I know what most of them mean. So if it's if it's QIA 2S plus, it's, I think what?
So the Q is queer. We'll get to that, and then there's the IA. What are those?
Yeah, I think it's intersex, asexual, and then 2S is two spirit, and then plus is whatever's coming next.
The 2S is two spirit. And what does two spirit mean?
Two spirit means it's like an indigenous people thing. It has to do with Native Americans, that I guess in Native American culture, there are people who believe that some people are born with male and as a male and a female spirit. And so this is, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. One wonders just how now, and I'm sorry to do this, but I got to ask you, Brandon, this is my chance to find out. I was just talking with a friend about this the other night. So there's gay and bi. I always knew that. But this queer thing, which I was growing up told that's a bad word. You don't use that. It used to merely mean odd, but you don't use that to call a gay person because that's hateful. But then they, like with the N-word, with blacks with the N-word, they made it their own by, you know, it's queer. Okay. I remember Pat Buchanan writing a column in the Journal years ago about a guy with a t-shirt, queer boy. Okay. But today it feels like queer doesn't quite mean gay. Does it?
No, it doesn't. So
it doesn't.
No. And this is but here's, okay, don't get excited because it's not going to get easier. No one has been able to successfully define what it actually does mean. And this is a battle that I've been having for many, many years. In fact, I know 3-4 years ago, I was asked to be on an LGBT Vice debate panel for the Vice, network.
Yeah.
And that was one of the primary questions I had that I wanted answered. For the people on the panel who identify as queer, what does it mean? What is the definition of this word? No one could define it. When you ask someone who identifies as queer or is like queer affirmative, okay, what does that mean? What you're going to find next is a word salad of definition of things that it's not, but not things that it is. Well, it's not really gay, but it's not straight. And it's not really trans, but it's not. And I'm like, okay, I get all the things that it's not. What is it? What is it? And I literally have never gotten an answer to this day. It's just something people say to basically, I think, suggest I'm odd, I'm quirky, I'm interesting. This is my identity. I don't know what it means. It just means something.
It's different. But now I'm part of a movement because now my Q has been latched onto that, and now and now the indigenous and so it's kind of a political movement. And the thing is, I'd love it if it were. And the way the whole gay pride movement started out was about, hey, just acceptance and lack of hate. And let's, but it seems like it's more of a political movement now, and it's based on a negative starting premise of oppression. I've written an op-ed in the Washington Examiner about this, how the trans people who are claiming genocide, literally using that word. There's trans genocide going on and terrible discrimination against us, when really the murder rate among trans, mathematically, it shows it's 1/3 of the murder rate of the entire American population. So it's just kind of a made up lament for political purposes. What do you think of that view?
Oh, I agree. And with the trans murder thing, I mean, it's really, really duplicitous because, so first of all, what they usually love to do is say it's trans people of color who are trans women of color who are being disproportionately killed in our society. And so they tried to sort of imply that white people are killing trans Black people or trans brown people.
Right.
I have friends who have dug into this and done a lot of research and back studying and found that in the last 3-4 years, whatever, that they looked up the various cases of transgender women of color who have been murdered. In every single circumstance, they were not killed by a white person. All of these trans women of color were killed by a non-Caucasian person. And in almost every case, they were involved in either the drug trade or sex work. And when you add that factor in and compare to other, like, let's say non-trans people, let's just say, heterosexual non-trans people, the rate of murder is about the same. I mean, if you're a heterosexual woman who does sex work or sells drugs, you're about equally likely to end up being the victim of a violent crime as any
Right.
transgender.
And yet no one's marching for them, Now, in
Correct.
terms of when the LGBTQ movement started to maybe have a bit of a rift, do you think it's that significant? At what stage is this rift? Is it merely just beginning, or is it already kind of there and visible? And what are the implications of it?
Well, I think it started around 2015 and it's increasing. I think the number of people who are leaving the left and leaving the LGBTQIA2+ movement, agenda, whatever, is growing and growing. They're becoming more radical and they're becoming more aggressive, and they're becoming the radical LGBT.
Yes, right.
They're becoming more radical, more aggressive. So I think that is forcing more and more people who are LGBT people who don't want to be a part of this to feel pushed out, and then to, I think, ultimately make the choice to, or not even a choice at this point, to walk away from both.
But dare they speak up, Brandon? I mean, it seems like even gay people, if they dare oppose some of this, are being called homophobic or transphobic.
Yeah, or self-loathing, or part of the machinery to destroy the LGBT community. I get told that all the time. I mean, there's two things that I hear all the time, which are just insane. One is that because I'm a gay conservative, there's the people automatically assume this whole backstory about me that, obviously I have parents who hate me and hate gay people. So now I'm, subscribing to these values because I'm trying to, make up for some sort of love that I didn't get. And I hate myself, and I hate, all this absurdity. And then the other thing that people say, these people on the left, the LGBT left, they say that basically, Republicans, people on the right, are trying to destroy gay people and destroy gay rights and have us annihilated and all of these things. And that basically I'm trying to warm up to these people to save my own skin for when the day comes that, they try to send me off to a camp or something. And I'm like, this is just so, like, these people are so insane. I just read a story right before this podcast about how somebody in Texas is starting the LGBTQ underground railroad to help LGBT people escape these states. The Human Rights Campaign declared a state of emergency for LGBT people in states like Florida and Texas and otherwise. I mean, like, these people
it's so victim-y. It's so weak and fretful and fearful unnecessarily, and it's stoking fear purely for political influence.
Yeah. they're deranged. It's insanity. I mean, it's delusional, and but then they hate anyone who doesn't believe in their delusion and go along with it. And
they revile them, and they demonize them and try to cancel them if they dare stand up and disagree. I mean, I've been wondering why more moderate spectrum gay people haven't stood up more publicly. You do have some groups you see on Twitter, like Gays Against Groomers, which is kind of a controversial group. And I've seen another group. I see the gay flag with that triangle being separated out from the regular stripes of the colors there. Let's move into politics with this, though, because the Democratic Party has always been the beneficiary of LGBTQ support. I feel like Democratic politicians, they dare not take the stance that some gay people are taking, saying the T and the Q have gone too far here, do they?
I think that as the Democrats continue to support any minority group that is becoming more extreme and more radical and more fringe far left, I think that any moderate person of any background or any kind is going to feel pushed away by this. And, you know, for me, my journey leaving the left, I walked away from the Democratic Party, but it was probably another 6 to 9 months before I became a Republican. And that was through doing, you know, my own research and researching the policies and the issues and things like that. So I do think that a lot of people end up leaving the left and then feeling politically homeless. And so I do think that there will be a lot of like LGB people who leave the Democratic Party and leave this sort of like fringe Marxist radical movement that's happening. Will they end up coming over to the right? Probably in time. But it is kind of unfortunate that, you know, there isn't more outreach. And that's what I try to do with Walkaway, is kind of bridge that gap of people who are feeling pushed away by a party or a movement that they once believed in and now feel like they have nowhere to go. And
they are right there in the middle, and they're there for the taking if only, say, the conservative side will come up with the right messaging and reach out to them and welcome them. Exactly. And unfortunately, that still really hasn't happened. But Walkaway is here. You know, we have an amazing app called Walkaway Social that people, whether you're an iPhone user or an Android user, you can go to your app store and load Walkaway Social. We originally started Walkaway on Facebook, but now we have our own app and we're kind of rebuilding the movement over there. But it's awesome. I mean, people are joining and telling their stories and sharing their experiences and talking about why they walked away or support people who walk away. And in fact, we're in New York City right now. We're doing an event this weekend on all of these topics. We're doing a town hall in New York City on Saturday, June 24th at 3:00. And we're going to be discussing the radical LGBT agenda. And we actually have a lot of LGBT people who walked away from the left who are going to be sharing their experiences. And I want to encourage anybody who's, whether you're straight or, you know, your parents, we want everyone to come together and be a part of this conversation. It's going to be really powerful and inspiring, and it's actually going to be pretty fun too. And we're going to talk about all this stuff and how we're going to save our country from this radical agenda. That's 3:00 this Saturday in New York at the Metropolitan. Where at the Metropolitan Republican Club. Okay. And people can get more information by going to walkawaycampaign.com and click events on our website. So the website is walkawaycampaign.com. And when you're on there, click the events tab and you'll find an event and sign up for it and come. Bring everyone you know. It's going to be awesome. Well, that is a wonderful way to wrap the interview. Thank you so much, Brandon Straka, and good luck with your event this Saturday. And I pray that Republican consultants are there, and I hope the media will cover it, even though it's not a message that they're comfortable with. It's about time the media started telling the truth instead of telling the Democratic version of the truth. Thanks so much for being with us, Brandon, and have a glorious day. You too. Thank you.